Several movies have been made about long-distance hiking, in particular, the Appalachian Trail. We're going to take a look at those movies, from the good, to the bad, to the ugly. Now, I admit, I may be the only person on the planet who has an interest in this topic. I love movies, and I've actually hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Captain Kirk is climbing the mountain. Why is he climbing the mountain?
Well, not all of it. I've done 496.6 miles over 3 trips. I love the AT, and all the memories and experiences that it's provided for me. I've met wonderful people, seen amazing things, and eaten an ungodly amount of Pop-Tarts. But I've always found it difficult communicating to people who have not hiked long distance exactly how meaningful that experience can be. An activity that involves walking for 10 plus hours a day, every day, for weeks or months, seems inherently tedious unless you're the one doing the walking. So you can't just make a movie about hiking and expect to get butts in seats. It's not like making a movie about war, for instance, where there are universal themes of the value of life and man's inhumanity to man. You need to add a little something to your hiking movie to make it interesting. A little zing, a little pizzazz, as the kids are calling it. Different movies handle this problem in different ways. A Walk in the Woods stars Robert Redford as an old man named Bill Bryson, who decides to thru-hike the AT to get away from his horrible grandkids and his shrew wife. He enlists his old friend Stephen Katz to go with him, and together the two amigos get into all sorts of antics. They fall into a stream, fall off a cliff, look at trees, and meet loose women.
I'm having a difficult time removing my panties.
Though by the poster, you'd think that this movie was about 2 giants living in Virginia. That's McAfee Knob. This is what people look like on McAfee Knob. By my calculations, Nick Nolte and Robert Redford are about 110 feet tall in this poster. By the way, have you guys seen the new Godzilla trailer? It looks awesome. This movie is cute. I'd recommend it to my grandma. After I got over how depressingly old Robert Redford is, I was surprised to find myself enjoying the movie. I laughed out loud at many of the jokes. I don't hate it. I don't hate this movie. It doesn't make me want to rip my eyes out. But it is deeply flawed.
It is like seriously dumb to come out here in March without a 3-season tent.
It's April. And it is a 3-season tent.
And let's be real, its main strength is its source material. Shut up, Baltimore Jack. We all know how you feel. Go back into the crypt and stay there, you stinking drunk. Go to the grave where you belong. A Walk in the Woods is my favorite book about the AT, despite all the hate it gets from serious hikers.
That freaking Walk in the Woods, man, that really kind of ticked me off. I watched it, and I kept thinking, if I had that budget, that much money, and if I had that camera gear, gee, what could I have made? I wouldn't have used that book for starters.
No, Seven, no. That's not how the world works. Everybody's read A Walk in the Woods. Nobody's read the 99-cent ebook, Sunshine's Quest, A White Girl's Journey. Although I would love to see Seven in a board meeting at the Walt Disney Company. Chain smoking his cigarettes and saying, I want to use real hikers for one. Maybe they think he's a genius and ask him to direct Star Wars Episode 9. You never know. The film adaptation is at its best when it's sticking closely to the book. The scenes between Robert Redford and Emma Thompson are endearing and well acted, and Nick Nolte is perfectly cast as Katz.
A beautiful body. Buried under 200 pounds of fat.
Those first couple sequences of the hike are pretty accurate representations of trail life, except for the fact that neither Bryson nor Katz, old men who probably have arthritis and knee problems, thought to bring trekking poles.
Big mistake.
The AT is not what Bryson expected. It's not an easy stroll through breathtaking natural beauty. It's grueling and often thankless. I think that's the exact experience of many first-time AT hikers. For most of the second act, Bryson and Katz get into various trail adventures. We watch their friendship rekindle and grow in an organic way. And then, about an hour in, the movie completely falls apart. This is when the writers insisted on shoving stupid shit that wasn't in the book into the movie. Clearly they believed that the Bryson-Katz banter would not be interesting enough to sustain a 2-hour runtime. So instead we get Bryson pointlessly flirting with Doc Brown's Wild West girlfriend, Katz hitting on a trashy lady at a laundromat and getting chased around by her husband, Bryson and Katz falling off a fiberglass cliff and getting stuck on a ledge dangerously close to a green screen, leading to several homoerotic situations. I'd actually like to talk about this scene for a moment, if I may. First of all, where is that? Colorado? Because it sure ain't the AT. So they fall off this fiberglass cliff. It's really stupid. All this scene does is force tension into the movie. External tension, to be more specific. Now, this is a buddy comedy, right? So wouldn't it be better to use an internal conflict, a disagreement between Bryson and Katz to sort of propel us into this second act crisis? There are plenty of examples out there of movies that center entirely on the interaction of two characters without having to manufacture suspense. This scene doesn't work because the writing is incredibly lazy. Perhaps if the screenwriter had gone on a week-long section of the AT before sitting down to write the script, then he could have come up with something better. And that's what it comes down to. There are a lot of good aspects to this movie. The script is not one of them.
Everybody felt an obligation to the Appalachian Trail and to the AT hikers to do it the right way.
Yes, I know it takes place on the PCT. I'm aware of that. But I feel the need to mention this film because it's pretty much the only movie about hiking that's solid all the way through. Both the book and the film appeal to a general audience by peppering in flashbacks about Cheryl's shitty life before the trail. We see her lose her mother and descend into depression until she's doing drugs, screwing in a back alley, and helping to murder defenseless animals. Many people hit the trail because they're trying to hike some sort of trauma out of their system. It can be incredibly therapeutic to simplify your life, get out of the big city, and spend time in nature. One time in Georgia, I passed a bunch of blind veterans hiking southbound. Here's a picture of them I found online. Pretty awesome, right? What makes Wild better than a walk in the woods, I think, are higher stakes. We get the sense that if Cheryl does not reach her goal, then she'll fall back into the deep depression that ruined her life. There's very little at stake for Bryson and Katz, and that makes it hard for us to care about them. Cheryl's journey is also much more perilous. It's scary when Skinny Pete shows up and starts drooling over Cheryl in her panties, because she's a vulnerable young woman in the middle of nowhere. Compare this to the pulse-pounding sequence in which Bryson and Katz hide behind a rock to avoid Mary Ellen.
Watch your breath.
Wild is also commendable for focusing on the practicalities of hiking. In the very first scene, Cheryl loses her boot. Every hiker knows how terrifying that prospect is. There's also that great moment when she runs out of water in the desert. I've never hiked the PCT, but I have run out of water on the AT, and I've had that moment of butt-clenching, testicle-tightening horror when I came upon what I thought was a water source, only to find a dry creek bed.
God damn it, AWOL, you lied to me.
You lied to me.
I have one major criticism of Wild. The ending. It's pretty much your textbook anticlimax. But that's the thing about hiking. It doesn't fit into a narrative structure. Summiting Katahdin might seem climactic to a thru hiker, but to somebody with no investment watching, it just looks like a hairy dude climbing a mountain. You know what Wild needed to give the ending a little oomph? F***ing aliens! This leads us into our discussion of the greatest film ever made, the 2016 horror classic Beacon Point.
Hello?
Beacon Point stars this lady as some lady. Some lady quits her cushy real estate job to go on a 10-day hike.
So how'd you get Larry to give you 2 weeks off? I quit.
A 10-day hike. Then we cut to Neil's Gap. I don't know how they filmed here, but they were clearly only there for an afternoon. This guy, with the ridiculous name of Drake, is a trail tour guide. Is there such a thing? He gets fired and accidentally murders his boss in this hilarious moment.
Fuck you. Leave the premises or I'm calling the cops.
Put the foot up. Oh, Jesus. Get off me.
All right, okay, look, stop.
Get out.
Calm down.
Get out.
Jesus. Get off me.
Oh my god.
Fuck me.
instead of fleeing to Mexico, Drake inexplicably decides to go ahead with whatever hike tour thing is scheduled to be happening that day. I guess he thinks he can find a new life for himself or something out in the woods. But, I mean, that's ridiculous. The cops would be able to find him. There's just no way that a fugitive could escape justice by hiking the AT. Oh. Fuck it. So because the screenwriter has never gone camping in his life, and because he's desperate to inject some gore into the movie to hold the audience's attention, the characters almost immediately come across the corpse of someone that's been mauled by a bear. Then Drake says,
"Come on, we gotta keep moving."
Why? If you were out hiking and you found a dead body, wouldn't you immediately turn back around and alert the proper authorities? No matter what some trail tour guide with a machete said?
Hey.
What?
Isn't that the main trail?
You paid for a guide, right? You guys, you don't need me for the main trail. You can just follow the mob of tourists.
Mob of tourists? Hey man, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Why does he have a machete? Also, why does this fat man have like a 50-pound lantern? How the hell would that fit into your pack? They clearly did no research whatsoever about the gear. Those the big industrial flashlights that you buy at Home Depot? Don't those weigh like 10 pounds? Haven't these people ever heard of a fucking headlamp? Fuck me.
Fuck me.
But enough of this shit. Let's get on to the aliens. This is what you came for, right? 30 minutes into Beacon Point, aliens abduct their tents, presumably to resell them on eBay for a profit. Then an alien shows up and has an orgasm. This is the only shot of an alien in the entire movie, and it's only 30 minutes in. It's a pretty common rule in horror movies that audiences are more afraid of what they don't see than what they do. So you reveal your monster, or whatever it is, bit by bit. You milk the suspense and keep milking it. Just milk that suspense so fucking hard until it explodes out in the hot white cream of climax. Beacon Point takes that rule and shits all over it. After they get abducted, a couple of the characters get really sick and start bleeding from their eyes. Then, to pad out the runtime, the main character, What's-Her-Face, has a dream/flashback about when she was a girl and being tormented by the same aliens. This connection is never explained, and it has absolutely no relevance to anything else that happens in the movie. Jesus Christ. A light outside of a window? Seriously? That's so unoriginal. I mean, you can't just rip off Spielberg like that. It's not... By the way, guys, have you checked out the trailer for our new science fiction horror film, In the Wildwood? I'll put a link in the description. It's coming soon to the festival circuit, and there's actually going to be a free screening in New Orleans later this summer. Check it out! Eventually, with everybody sick and dying, What's-Her-Face figures out that Drake has a satellite phone, so she tries to take it from him.
Stupid bitch. Fuck you.
But eventually they get the better of him, and they tie him up and force him to go get help. You know, tying up crazy men in the woods and forcing them to lead you places rarely works out well in my experience. But they don't find help. Instead, they find Beacon Point, where a creepy monolith has been erected by aliens. Ah yes, Beacon Point. I remember it from my AWOL guide, just past Bly Gap, point 2 west to the creepy alien monument. Eventually they get back to the others, and What's-Her-Face says this incredibly stupid shit.
I have to go back. I need my stuff.
No, I understand. We need to get out of here.
It's my dad. Okay? I have his ashes, and I was gonna scatter them at Klingman's Dome. That's the whole reason that I picked this hike.
By Klingman's Dome, I assume she means Klingman's Dome, which is 167.2 trail miles from Neal's Gap, where they started the hike a couple of days ago. Okay, so maybe the mountain crossing store was supposed to be passing for the tour shop or whatever. I don't fucking care, it's still stupid. Then we get into the third act, and people start dying.
Help!
Sam, are you okay?
I'm fine. Please just cut me down.
Yeah, hang on.
My God, Dan.
After the fat guy dies by getting hit in the head with a log. They bury him under a pile of leaves and mark his tomb with his trekking poles and his hat. They don't seem to understand that wild animals are going to eat his body in like 5 fucking minutes. Then this guy dies for no reason. The other guy just kind of walks off, and then later he gets abducted, I think. It's not entirely clear. And then What's-Her-Face finds Drake in a cave. He tries to explain the plot, but manages to make things even more confusing.
They've been here for generations, watching us, studying us. They see everything we see. They use our eyes like cameras to spy on us. We got sick. That wasn't supposed to happen. But you and Cheese, you didn't get sick. Why?
And now, Drake's Oscar moment.
I won't let them do this to me. I won't!
Then he rips his eyes out. There's no confrontation with the aliens, no adequate explanation of what the fuck's been going on, and the main character has no growth and learns nothing at all. And hey, then she gets rescued. But instead of saying, "Oh my god, everybody I hiked with is dead, we need to get help right now," she says,
"Do you know the way to the main trail?"
Wouldn't she say, "Where's the AT?" I mean, who calls it the main trail anyway? Ah, fuck it. Oh shit, look, they were actually able to film on Clingman's Dome. Do you think they got permission for these shots? Or did the director go up with the main actor and just say, "Oh, it's okay, Park Service, we're just taking pictures"? I'll let you decide. In the last scene, What's-Her-Face scatters her father's ashes on the trail in blatant disregard of the leave no trace principle. I'll bet you anything that in the original script, she scattered them up on Clingman's Dome, all dramatically, with the sunset, and ashes were swept out onto the wind, and as she watched, a smile crept across her face. Finally, she was at peace. But no, somebody realized that if they scattered the ashes on the dome, somebody would yell at them, so they went to this pretty nondescript place in the woods, and she just kind of dumped them on the ground in the mud. Is this movie over yet? Oh, thank God. Beacon Point is a must-see for any AT hiker. It's streaming on Hulu, and I think it should be a go-to for bad movie night at hostels and on 0 days. You'll laugh, you'll cry, it'll change your life. Oh my God, look at that! The fat dude has a headlamp! Well then, why weren't you wearing that in that other scene instead of carrying around the 50-pound lantern, you stupid bitch?
Stupid bitch. Fuck you. Fuck me.
The shittiest movie about the trail, and a contender for the worst movie ever made, is the 2005 drama Southbounders. It's so obscure and terrible that I couldn't even find a digital copy of it. These are just clips from the trailer. Looks like dog shit, doesn't it? Apparently, a few years ago, they released a remastered version for the 10th anniversary. I wonder how they did that. Did they spray the VHS tapes with Windex? If you get the chance to watch Southbounders, don't. But for the record, they've got a copy of it over at the Hikers Welcome Hostel in Glencliff, New Hampshire. The real irony here is that Southbounders is more authentic to trail life than A Walk in the Woods, Wild, and Beacon Point put together. And even though I despise this terrible movie, I kind of respect the people who made it. Southbounders is a concerted effort to accurately depict the thru hiking experience. It's a love letter to the AT. I get it, I love the trail too, but I also know a turd when I smell one. You know what I'd like to see? A movie about Grandma Gatewood. She thru-hiked the AT 3 times when she was in her late 60s and early 70s. She also hiked the 2,000-mile Oregon Trail, averaging 22 miles a day. She lived off the land, eating wild onions and shit. No Pop-Tarts for Grandma. What a badass.
She scared a bear off, and when the reporters said something to her, she said, well, after having a brood like she raised, an old bear wasn't nothing.
At the end of the day, there really doesn't need to be another major motion picture about hiking. Ever, as far as I'm concerned. It'll just inspire more people to hit the trail, and there are too many people in the backwoods already, god damn it. The trail should only be for crusty old men. Crusty old men with machetes. What does the trail have to offer people anyway? Well, I mean, besides amazing exercise, hope for humanity, a love for the outdoors, a new lease on life, and the adventure of a lifetime. And who the f*** needs that shit?